Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live programs. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Savage, and I will be your host for today's show. Today, we will be exploring existentialism as it relates to our lives and experiences, anywhere from the lens of musician, artist, manager, performer, and all the way down to eye level of the crude and unfiltered human being. What does it mean to exist? What is the purpose of existence? There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and this could leave you with more questions, for sure, than simple answers. But it's more real that way, and that's what we're here for. And check out a little preview of our last installment on Have Something to Say. Today, we will be exploring have something to say?
My question is, does anyone have anything to say? Great minds talk about ideas and theories and things. Mediocre minds talk about other people. Two people go into the recital and they come out with two different opinions. Oh, that was fantastic. And then the other person says, that was trash. Like, what a great piece. Or what a really badly written piece. Or what was that composer trying to say? The first thing we think of when we have something to say is, oh, they're really crappy. Hopkins used to say, people don't tell you what they're thinking, they just see that you don't succeed. I rarely hear anyone say anything worth listening to. So when I say have something to say, that means say something all the time. Small talk is out. Say something substantive.
Out of the box.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Okay.
You have something to say. It should be urgent. It should be substantive. In other words, if it's not emergent or urgent, then don't say it. You can just say it 5 minutes later. In other words, you've got to say what you're going to say right now if it absolutely has to be said. Harmony dictates policy. In other words, without the harmony, those note values are meaningless. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
A clear understanding of what you're talking about with depth and with integrity and with urgency. I'm going to play it the way I think they want to hear it.
Right.
There's no end to this. Say something.
It's difficult to find something to say with meaning sometimes. And
sometimes it is. But if it's a surprise left hook, I like that. I like being superior. Yes,
you like being superior.
Yeah, I do. I do like being superior.
We've got it on tape.
But you've got it on tape. Yes, I do. I revel in my superiority.
That was our last recap episode. And today, I am excited to be joined live with co-host and celebrated partner in crime, Tigran, otherwise known as Jack Price. And just to give a little introduction, formerly known as Tigran and now known as Jack Price, he began his career in artist management in response to his own career as an RCA recording artist after winning first prize in the 50th anniversary Naumburg competitions, as well as being known as the crazy pianist who premiered The Right for solo piano. Welcome to the show, Jack Price. Thunderous applause as always.
Thunderous. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. But let's dive right into it. And
Well, we exist right now. See, right here and now.
We're getting right into that. We are existing.
Yeah. I mean, aren't we
existing? I think so.
We exist. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm looking at you. You're looking at me. It's not a mirage. We exist.
It's another
There's
mirage.
Nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Well, so let's dive right into it and see what is behind door number 1. What does it mean to exist? Tell us,
Well,
Jack Grace.
yeah, I hate to say it, but it's totally related to the last show and topic.
Mm-hmm.
So to exist means to be purposeful, in my opinion. In other words, if you just, you're pumping gas, and I know what you're going to say,
Okay.
well, what's wrong with pumping gas for a living? Okay. There's nothing wrong with pumping gas for a living as long as it leads to something, but in it existing just to pump gas and that's it. That's not really living. Like what do
you consider? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What like the line to Braveheart when they brought it out on the sizzle, they had a picture of William Wallace, meaning, Mel Gibson. And it said, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Oh. So when I first saw that, I thought, well, that seems really obvious. But then you watch the movie and, that guy really lived. He had a real life full of purpose. The whole idea was to free Scotland from the evil king of England, and so this is right the 10th century, 11th century, whatever. And anyway, he had a purpose. He was born for a purpose. I think to exist, you have to ask yourself, well, what am I doing here? I mean, why am I here? What was I born for? I was born to do this. I was born to do that. You've got to define your existence. You've got to say something to yourself, most importantly, that I'm here for this reason. Okay. I'm not just another body. That's what I used to do. I would say, if I was upset with somebody, I'd say, yeah, it's another carcass taking up space, that kind of thing. And I would get really angry because they had nothing to say. They didn't do anything. All they did was make trouble, blah, blah, blah. And actually, they were just inconveniencing me. Right. Someone said, don't inconvenience Richie. He really hates that. Yeah, it's true. I don't like being inconvenienced, but it goes to a larger point. If you're really, really doing something purposeful with your life, I don't think you're going to inconvenience people because you're thinking about their well-being as well as yours. So existentialism, to me, we exist for one another. And in the Bible, it says, man is because he want to have joy. I don't know the exact quote. Man exists to be joyful. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, these people who walk around saying, oh, well, I don't really care if I'm happy. I just, I go, what's the point of being sad? What's the point of every moment of your life being tragic or unfulfilled or you're always longing for something? No, I mean, poverty sucks. I don't want to be poverty stricken. I want to be happy and I want to, go to the movies, I mean,
okay. So you're saying this larger goal, purpose to your life is also connected to being some joy, being happy in your life, right?
Yeah. If you're not contributing to this world, I don't think you exist. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you're not, it's sort of like my statement. Well, it's like my statement. If you're not breaking through, you're not living. It's the same concept. For me, breakthroughs are my whole life. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I feel like if you're not breaking through in every avenue of living, like I said, even in the shower,
you
might see, just little things, like tire pressure, you're driving down the street and you see, they have all these new instruments on the instrument panel and this, is it, 8 PSI, and they have these, you got to have them have like 36 or 37 PSI in the summer. And then when it's cold, it goes down. Yeah. These kinds of things, you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to notice them. You've got to be aware. It's like being vigilant. This is existentialism too. When I hear about shootings, let's say, some guy walks into a university and starts shooting everybody, This is existentialism. This is someone who feels that these people should not exist. It's like in the world that we live in, they say, does Israel have a right to exist? You know what I'm referring to, right?
Right.
So there is a religion out there, which will remain nameless, that does not believe Israel has the right to exist. Okay, that's existentialism to the max. This religion or way of thinking feels that Israel should be wiped off the face of the earth. Now,
okay.
Number one, who are they to say who exists and who doesn't? That's existentialism to the max. You're judging? Who are you to judge to say that a people do not have the right to exist? They most certainly have the right to exist, not because the Jewish people are so fantastic and so brainy and control 85% of the world's wealth, and they run Hollywood and classical music. No, it's not because of that.
For one group of people to tell another group that they don't have the right to exist. Yeah,
I mean, that's a group that definitely, in my opinion, has the right to exist.
Okay.
They're people of great accomplishment, and you can say a lot of things about Armenians and Chinese, and, we can say that all, Armenians have bad body odor, I mean, we can say a lot of things. I mean, the point is,
right,
everybody has a right to exist, but why? It's not just because they're people. They should exist for a purpose. They should have the people who have something to say and say it, as we said in the last episode, urgently, have a right to exist, in my opinion. People who do not contribute in any way, shape, or form, and there are not many of them, because everybody contributes in some way. I dare say there are very few people on the face of the earth that don't contribute anything. Think about that for a minute. Do you know anybody who contributes nothing? Not too many. I mean, I can think of a couple, right now, but but I can think of a couple that their main purpose is to agitate people. Okay, that's not existentialism. Okay, that's not existing for a purpose. That's what you would call revengeful, get backness. Getting back at society. This is not existence. This is actually a slow death. Is what it is. When you're that bitter. Yeah, when you're that bitter.
What makes it not? What makes it not a purpose in itself? I mean, some people's purpose might be that, right?
If your purpose in life, I know what you're saying. If your purpose in life is to tear down others and only tear down others, and bring upon revenge on people who you feel have done you wrong, this is not existentialism. I do not believe you have a right to exist to make another person who has the right to exist miserable. You see? So existential.
You're saying to being connected with other people and not just, operating on your own. Existentialism is to find the purpose requires thinking of others.
Yeah. In other words, to me, existentialism, to be existential, is related to societal blending.
Yes, right.
You have to, people say, oh, I don't blend in. I'm like, I'm so different and I should have been born in another century and nobody understands me. Everybody feels that way. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Right.
Everybody feels unappreciated and,
misunderstood.
You're not the only one. I feel that way all the time. And then I turn right around and I say, well, he was misunderstood. She was misunderstood. What about all these people that, went through these horrible, agonizing existences, speaking of existential, like people in the Holocaust and other cleansings, and people have had it much worse than you've had
history.
it. I mean, we think of ourselves as woe is me all the time. And, oh my gosh, I could have done so much more with my life. I'm such a loser, But the fact is, there are many degrees of things. There are many levels. So this self-deprecating to the point where you no longer really have a purpose on this planet is pretty destructive. It's not contributive. It's not contributing anything to humanity. You're not leaving the earth in a better state than when you arrived. And now that's another thing I think is related to existentialism is the world better off for your existence? Did you contribute anything while you existed?
Right.
With your existence, did you contribute anything? And when you die, can you say, well, at least I left the place a little bit better than it was when I entered? How many people can really say that? Don't answer that question. I'm not saying it's a small number. I'm not saying it's a large number. This program is not about answers. It's about questions. So you have to ask yourself when you look in the mirror, did I contribute today? Did I do anything worth anything today? Can I put my head on the pillow and say, that was a good day? I mean, this to me is all about existing. This is existing. These questions are existential. It's not just about, why are we here? What are we doing here? Is there a God? Is there a Buddha? Is there this? It doesn't really matter if there is something beyond death. Do something now. Do something with your life now. And then maybe you'll be rewarded. Maybe something will come of our passing. And I mean, I don't think death it's a portal that I think people worry about too much. They should worry about existentialism rather than the afterlife. They should try to contribute.
Existing now.
Being here and now. Right, exactly. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe in the afterlife. I certainly do. But the point is, I'm not preoccupied with that. I'm too preoccupied with, I need an iced coffee. I mean, there's just too much to do right now. So existing for the moment is enough. It's like saying, tomorrow's worries, forget about it. We have enough worries for today. Let tomorrow take care of itself.
This is the callback to one of our previous episodes on worry, the topic of worry.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Okay, let's pivot here with a little clip that we'd like to show just to switch things up. And stay tuned right here on Jack Price is Right. Okay, hope you enjoyed that brief little interlude of some Schubert to break things up. And let's move right on into what is behind door number 2. So,
yeah,
the purpose. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've answered this question in the first episode or part of the program, but I think the purpose is to do something. If first of all, right. the meaning of existence to me is to do, not to loaf. In other words,
not to loaf.
Yeah,
you sure your purpose can't be just to loaf?
No, your purpose cannot be just to loaf, in my opinion. I mean, you could get probably, look, if you want to get existential, you could probably get 1 million people to give you 1 million reasons why loafing and loitering and goofing off are perfectly good purposes, perfectly good reasons for existing or living, but they're not, okay? You don't just exist to exist. You exist for contribution. I mean, we are put here, I believe, to contribute. Okay, we're not here to exist like a blob.
The world around us,
like
people around us.
Okay. Yeah, like the green amoeba, the slime in the ocean crawls up on the ocean floor onto the sand, and then it turns into a human. You know, right. I don't think that. First of all, I don't believe that, and second of all, yeah, I mean, you know, you can. There are arguments for all of this stuff, but the point is, if you're gonna be here, do something. That's what I'm saying. There's no point in doing nothing because, first of all, it's terribly boring. I would think that the loafer and the goof-offer, or whatever you want to call them, the underachiever, would be so bored with their existence, get it? That they would not want to exist. Right. I think a lot of suicides, personally, not that I'm a psychiatrist, but sometimes I feel with students in the past, I felt like, I was either their babysitter or their shrink, and then their piano teacher, if you want to call, or coach. Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the wrong profession with some of these people. But I would say to them, well, what do you want to do? Forget about what your mother and father or I want to, or what I think you should do. If a great talent came along, I said, wow, you should be playing concerts, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me what you want to do. And oftentimes they cannot tell me. They go, the person that goes, I haven't found myself yet. I'm searching. Right. Or I'm searching for a deeper vein of meaning of life. In other words, they're talking about mining, like going into a mine to mine some ore. And of course, the famous saying, the gold is out there, but the workers are few. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Now, think about that existentially. What does that mean? That means we've got all this opportunity. I mean, look, take a field of corn. There's all this corn everywhere, and there's nobody to pick it. Yeah, how would the world's food supply work? How would that work? We got to eat.
Well. Right.
So, some people exist only to exist. In other words, they got to pick that corn. Otherwise, they don't eat. And if they don't eat, when a person gets older in a nursing home, when they stop eating, that's the sign of death, right? When they can't eat anymore and they refuse the food, it's the beginning of the end. So many people feel existentialism, or the meaning of his existence, is just to exist. Just be there.
The purpose of existence, just to be there.
I'm here
without doing anything, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I like
to be comfortable, to just exist, be there, and just be comfortable, and not do much else aside from that.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's all a matter of opinion, I suppose. But in my opinion, since it's my show, if you want to call it that, I don't think of it as my show. I feel like I'm a guest here, So anyway, the point is, it's not my show. But if you want my opinion, I believe that if we exist, there must be a meaning for life. In other words, people say, "What's the meaning of life?" I mean, this is a typical thing. People are 5 years old, 6 years old. They start getting older and they go like, what is the meaning of all this? I mean, at first they're babies, they go, they think it's just so phenomenal, or they're in pain, babies cry, or they're happy,
they
smile.
And think everything's phenomenal. Yeah.
And they think everything's phenomenal. And then everything's bad when their parents punish them or they slap their hand. So they're confused. They don't know. Well, am I here to be happy or am I here to get punished? Am I here? Did my forefathers do something really bad and now I'm going to pay for it? I mean, there are all kinds of reasons for existential thought, like, am I paying for my parents' sins? Am I here to get a reward? I mean,
right.
How come King David got so much? Because he sent one of his best friends to the front so he could marry Bathsheba, so he could die, and he marries his best friends. I mean, what is that? What is that? That's, to me, a pretty big sin. You send your best friend to the front so he dies so you can marry his wife because she's gorgeous. I mean, that's really bad stuff. Okay. Is that existentialism? Is that what you were born for, to, rip people off? I mean, you have to really ask yourself, why am I here? That is existentialism. To me, it's not just like Kierkegaard and all those guys, they talk about existing. I feel the existence is for a purpose, not just existing. Okay?
Yeah.
In other words, you have to have something in mind. You know how people say, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, tell us what you really think.
Yeah, tell us what you really think when you have all these opinions. That's like a joke, but tell us what you really think. What do you have in mind for me? I remember.
For me, for yourself, or for others?
For others, for me, or whatever. You can say, my father, I took this girl to the state fair one year. I was like 14, and I was in the shower, and the girl's father dropped her off. And she was in my den talking to my father, and my dad goes, "So what do you want with my boy?" That was his accent, He said, "What do you want with my boy?" And, the poor girl is just sitting there, "Well, we're going to the fair." It's like my father wanted to know. I mean, he was that kind of a kook. He wanted to know what this girl had in mind to do with me. Like, do you want to marry him? I mean, we're 14 years old. We're 14 years old. I mean, this is how aggressive. Yeah. But in a way, that's existential. Like, why are you here, young lady? Are you gonna? Do you just want his money? Do you want his lunch money, or right. How my father was very protective of me when I was young. He didn't want me interacting with anybody that would take away my stuff,
my stuff.
Meaning talent or whatever.
Okay.
He treated me like with kid gloves. Okay. He taught me how to pitch. He taught me judo. He taught me everything, and then got into piano. I just was one of those kids that did a bunch of stuff. Okay. And he was very wary of women, even to his death. What are you doing with this woman? What are you doing with this girl? What are you doing? This is your wife? What kind of a person is she?
So he would ask them existential questions at 14.
Even when I was 14. And I was so embarrassed. I came out of the shower. I was ready to, go with her to the fair. And I say, "What did you talk about with my dad?" She said, "He's a really weird guy, man." It's like, and I said, "Yeah, he is weird. What did he say?" She wouldn't tell me because it was just too embarrassing. What do you want with my son? Okay, this is existentialism to the nth degree. This is a person who really wants to know what you have in mind, what you're going to do. I want to know what you're going to do with your life. This kind of thing. There are others who just don't care, and I think the caring one's better,
Oh, okay.
I'm impressed with the person. In other words, my dad, I had problems with him, but, I'm very impressed that he was concerned about this 14-year-old girl. Yeah, like, you guys are just going to the fair? Like, what are you going to do after the fair? It's like, I mean, he was very concerned. Usually you do that with a girl, but with me, he was obsessed with me and what I was doing with my time. He
found it important, and there was urgency to that, and that's something substantive, I think, related to our last episode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like getting in your face all the time, okay? Mm-hmm. A parent can just get in your face, too. I'm the opposite kind of parent, by the way. For example, my daughter and my son, hey, I did my job up to 18. What you do after 18 is your business. I don't snoop around and poke my nose in their business and, oh, you shouldn't be doing this and you shouldn't be doing that. And the very sound of your voice makes me feel totally intimidated that I'm not doing the right thing. This is not existence for me. Existence is doing your thing. Okay. So existentialism to me, remember I said it's to do. You should do, not do. So you got to be doing something to exist for me,
And the purpose of existing is to do something rather than taken literally. What you've been saying is just existence. It's just to exist. No.
Yeah. Another way of putting it is saying I have industry. You see what I mean?
You have
like industry. When they say I'm taking away his industry, not like the industry of music, but his industriousness, if you do something to a person that, if you do something that hinders someone's industry, I think that's very bad. Okay. Because their industry is them. Have you ever heard this saying, your work is what you are, or you are what your work is.
Or, your network is your net worth, things like that.
No, work. I mean, if you don't have work, you have nothing. If you're relying on relationships, forget it. Because relationships are there to disappoint. Let me tell you. In other words, you can't trust me. I can't trust you. This is a big picture type of thing. But you can only rely on yourself and your industry, your work, your ability to be industrious. Yes.
I see.
So if I'm not practicing, or I'm not making a phone call, or if I'm not making a deal, I feel useless. Okay. Yeah, I've got to be doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if you're watching them
alive, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes you got to rest and relax. So I watch TV, watch a movie. Okay. This is still industrious because depending on what you watch, you can be learning.
It goes towards what you're going to do.
It's not just pure entertainment, Right. Yeah. Right. So to exist means to be. And there we have now the famous Hamlet, to be or not to be. That's the question. And that's true. He's contemplating suicide or whatever because he's so upset about his father's death. He knows what happened, but he just can't seem to, his whole thing is revenge, and we all know the story. If you know Hamlet, you know that he's a very complex character, and his existentialism is far beyond the normal man. He's the ultimate example of existentialism, to be or not to be. That's the question, to exist or not exist. Should I exist? Would the world be better off if I did not exist, or are they better off with me here? That's basically, I think, what he's saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's not just selfish and saying, well, I'm really pissed off because someone killed my dad, so I'm going to kill myself. He's not really saying that.
Okay.
He's not that miserable. That's basically it.
Got it. Okay. Any final? That's our final thoughts on existentialism. I know it's a huge topic.
It's a huge topic, but I can define it for me. Existing for me means to do, doing something. That's existing. Not
Breakthrough.
doing is not, breakthrough. Not doing is not existentialism. You are not existing if you're not doing something. You see? That's
Okay.
For me, that's existence.
That's existentialism, according to Jack Price, and Jack Price is right on the show.
yes.
So, all right. I think we're a bit out of time here, but thank you so much for being with us,
You're welcome.
Jack Price. That was the depth of this topic, but I think we got a bit of a picture of what you think and what your take on it, and hopefully maybe someone listening to this will find their own breakthroughs, and get out of whatever rut they may be in.
We're all in ruts.
We're all we're all in this one rut together, so that's
it's
one
very tough world.
All right, thank you so much. And moving along, the time is right, we gotta go. I want to give a big shout out to all of our partners and sponsors, without which this broadcast would not have been possible, from symphonies, orchestras, to studios, and schools, Colburn School, cello schools, Cicceroni, recording studios. There have been so many organizations and sponsors that really made this program possible. So thank you guys so much. And also I want to mention that we are streaming on all of the major platforms, from Facebook to Vimeo to Twitter, X, Instagram, and we are even streaming on Twitch. So find us on your favorite platforms and we will be there. I also want to give a very big shout out, of course, to our team at Virtual Concert Halls here. Today's broadcast was powered by Krisztian Palagyi. There he is, directing behind the scenes. We could not have done it without any of you, and we are sincerely grateful to have you along with us for our journey. And with that, I think that's all we've got for you today. It was a big topic of existentialism. This has been Jack Price is Right. I'm your host, Jennifer Savage, and I hope you've gotten a little something out of it. I know I did. See you next week.